What's going on, YouTubers? I'm Kevin08015 and I feel like crap. Um, this is Sons of Anarchy Season 5, Episode 3 review. Um, so the guys are in prison now, and some of Pope's guys start walking up to them, and, Galindo's guys walk up to Pope, and, they protect them. They're going to keep them protected. Um, then one of the guards calls Jax over and he takes him to the chief security guard's office. Um, excuse me. And Damon Pope's in there. So it's just Damon Pope and Jax now, and Pope tells him that he knows that he mules the coke for the Galindo crew and stuff like that, and he asks Jax, "What's in it for you? If you don't tell me, I'll just find out anyway." So Jax says, "We get 100 grand every run." So he says, "Okay, well, 50 of that's mine now." And then he said he wants a dead son before the next guard shift change. So he doesn't care who they are, who it is. He wants a dead son for the the 9 that was killed and the cop. He also wants Tig in prison for the rest of his life. So every time he thinks about his daughter, he knows where to find Tig. And Jack said he didn't want a war. And Pope said, "You're already in one, son." And then Gemma tries to pick the kids up from fucking daycare at the hospital, and she can't because she's not listed as one of the people who was allowed to. So, Gemma went up there and she said, "I'm not listed," to Tara, and she's like, "I know." She's like, "I'm her goddamn grandmother," and she's like, "And I'm her goddamn mother." And she's like, "I'll decide what's best for my kids," and then, all that other shit. So then Gemma left. Oh, and she told Gemma, put a scarf on. Jesus, what are you, a 12-year-old slut or something like that? And she's like, "Oh, thanks for the advice, Mom." And then she left. Um, the club meets with Galindo, and Bobby tells him, keep them safe. Make sure they come out of there safe. And his response to that was, "Well, we'll call you guys if we need anything." Um, After that meet, Clay begs Juice to take him where Gemma's at, and he says, "Listen," he's like, "my seat, I no longer have my seat. I'm not going to be able to vote anymore in about a month and a half." He's like, "She's all I got left. Please." So Juice is like, "Ah, shit." So he takes him to Nero's place. um, and then Gemma goes to Wendy and tells her that Jax is locked up, and Tara is self-medicating herself. Sorry. With Oxycontin. It's all fuel so Wendy can get Abel back. And she's like, "Why are you telling me this?" She's like, "You want Abel? This is how you do it." And she's just like, "You said that boy will never call me Mom." She's like, "I remember everything." Um, the guys are in the courtyard of the prison, and the guards start bringing them back into the prison due to the shift change. And they ask Galindo's crew, they're like, "What's going on? We're going in already?" He's like, "No, shift change." So he runs back over to the guys and he tells them, "Look, we got to do this now." And they run over to Pope's guys and start beating the shit out of him. Um, so the prison courtyard goes into lockdown. The guys, after they come back from commercial, the guys, both Damien Pope's guys and SOA, are standing face forward naked. And the guards tell them that they have limited food for the next week because they're going to be in solitary. And the one black guy says, "Yeah, my fat black dick." And Tig's response to that was, "Who said that? All I can see are teeth," because it was a dark room. So I thought that was a little fucked up, but But anyway, Tig gets hit and the other guy gets hit, and then that's the end of that scene. Wendy visits Tara to pretty much tell her that she better tell Abel that she's her mommy. And Tara's just like, good luck with your custody battle. I'm a surgeon. You're an ex-junkie biker whore. She's like, you want to try and take me on? She's like, you go right ahead, darling. And she left. And then Wendy said, yeah, okay, Gemma. And then Jax and Ope are bunking together in their solitary room, and the guard tells Jax to pick a guy in SOA. And when he picks a guy, Jax is like, well, what's going to happen? He's like, we're going to escort him to the box, and he's going to fight until he loses. And then Jax didn't know what to do, and he finally told Opie everything. Why Clay killed Piney, why he can't kill Clay. Opie went after Jax and, grabbed him around his throat and whatnot and said, you should have let me kill him. You should have let me kill Clay. And then he told him, why he couldn't kill Clay. He needed him alive for the deal because they have Rico against him. Tara goes to the daycare center in the hospital, and because the redheaded lady, she tells Tara that Gemma's waiting for her down there. And Tara tells Gemma that Wendy stopped by. She's like, what did she want? Acting stupid. And she's like, Gemma, I love you. I do. She's like, but you need to stay the hell away from my kids. And she's like, or what? You gonna kill me? She's like, no, but my husband might. And then that pretty much shut Gemma up, and Tara walked away. Then Gemma got a phone call saying that Clay and Juice were at Nero's place of work. So she's like, shit, I'll be right there. And then the guard comes in and asks who Jax and Opie picked. And they both said, we need more time. And then the guard hit Jax in his knee with a stick. And he tells them, he's like, either you pick or I will. And Opie asks Jax, he's like, what are we going to do, man? And Jax is like, we're going to pick. And Clay and Juice, they're there looking around. And Clay tells Nero, he's like, I'm Gemma's old man. You must be the new one. And he's like, look, man, this isn't a place to talk about this. He's like, I'm just a friendly visit. And he kept walking around. He finds Ashley Tisdale. And he's like, how much is she worth? And, the Nero's business partner takes Juice into the back because she finds him sexy. Yay, Juice finally got laid. And then Gemma comes in and says, where is he? And Nero's like, they left already. They're not here anymore. And then Juice comes out putting his shirt back on. And she's like, where is he? And Juice is like, where's who? And she's like, are you kidding me with this shit? She's like, you want me to break down every goddamn door? And then she was going down the hall, and then the lady said, room number 3. So she opened it up, and Clay was just sitting there. And then she sees this young Ashley Tisdale come out, and she chases her and beats the shit out of her. And then Clay's just watching with a big smile on his face. And Nero comes in and pulls her off, and he's just like, Clay. Jax and Ope meet with Tig and Chibs, and Jax tells them they die on their own terms. He's like, I'm not picking one person. So the guard comes in, he's like, alright, am I picking, or are you? And then, out of nowhere, Opie just headbutts the guard, and, Jax is like, no, no, no! And then they grab Opie, he's like, guess that's the one. He's like, take him in there. And then Jax, they're all screaming, saying, no, no, please don't. And, they bring Opie in, and they throw a pipe on the floor, and the guard looks at him, he's like, make it interesting. And Jax is like, banging against the glass, saying no. And then Pope's guys, the ones they beat up earlier, come walking in. And Opie picks up the pipe. And he did good for a while. He was laying him out left and right with the pipe. But the big one caught him. And, the guy hit him across the face. Punched him across the face. And then he grabbed the pipe and hit him across the face with that. And then he was like bloody and shit. And he got up. And Jax was just looking in with you gotta be kidding me look on his face. Like there's no way, please. I'm like this can't be happening. Look on his face, and Opie just looks at Jax and he smiles, and then the dude hits Opie in the back of the head with the pipe, which I think was the one that killed him. And he's like, and then fell down, and then Jax turned around and was like that, and just looked. They all had to turn around. They couldn't watch it, and the guys just continuously kept beating on Opie's skull with this pipe. And yeah, so unfortunately, Opie's dead. Opie got killed. Um, Come back from commercial break, and Jax is walking, and he tells the head security guard who set this whole thing up, he's like, I'm gonna get released. There's nothing you can do about that. And when I do, I'm gonna find out who you are. I'm gonna find out where you live, and I'm gonna kill you. And then the guard just looked on like, oh shit, and then didn't say a word, and Jax just walked in. Nero and Gemma are sitting in there, and he's saying, "Are you okay?" And she said, "Yeah, I'm fine." He said the girl he beat up, or she beat up, was a top earner, and now she went back to where she came from, and Gemma said, "I'm sorry," and she's like, "Just lost my shit," and all this other stuff, and it's a boring part. Anyway, it goes back to Jax going in, and they asked if he met with Pope, and he wants to talk with Chibs first, alone. He tells him, we're all getting out tomorrow. He met with Pope, by the way, and he said, I need Tig alive. He's like, after that, after I'm done with him, I don't give a shit what you do. I just don't give a fuck anymore. I just watched my best friend get killed. He's like, there you go. He's like, that's a lot better. He's like, and he's saying it takes a tragedy to make a better businessman or some bullshit. Anyway, so he tells Chibs, he's like, look, he's like, we're gonna give, Pope that 50 that he wants. He's like, and now he's got a dead son. And he's like, well, he's like, and we all get out. He's like, what about Tig? He's like, he's coming with us. He's like, how does that work? And he's like, send Tig over. And Tig comes over, and he's like, you're coming with us. And he's like, thank you, man. He's like, no thank you. He's like, well, first Tig told him he was really sorry. He's the one who got this whole shit started, and now because of it, Opie's dead. And he's like, from now on, he's like, you no longer argue with me. You no longer vote against anything I have to say. You back me on every deal I make. He's like, you pretty much, he was telling him, you be my bitch. So Tig looked at him, he's like, you got my word, brother. He's like, okay. And then Jax just looked straight on. And then Tig got up and left. And then Jax just looked at him like he was planning something. And then the show ended. This was 5 stars, man. I mean, personally, because I've been watching the show for years, like, a little hurt that Opie's dead now. He's one of my top favorite characters, and now he's dead. It was kind of like a punch in the gut. It really was. And it sucks. But, overall, this was a 5-star. You know what? Out of 5 stars, this was a 7-star episode. It was a really good episode. And the shit, I swear to God, is going to hit the fan like never before. Now that Opie's dead, that veil is going to come over Jax's eyes, and he's just going to see blood. So, honestly, I feel sorry for Pope, because that is one dead motherfucker. I see it. He's dead. So, that's pretty much it, guys. I enjoyed this episode. I can't wait to see you guys again next week. And, catch you guys later. The encore's on now, and another one's going to be on after that, so check you guys later.